Hi everyone, welcome to Monday's maths lesson. So first of all, I would like you to write today's date and skill into your book, please. So the date is Monday the 1st of March 2021 and the skill is Explore Reasoning Skills, and today we'll be looking at place value. So pause the video and write that in now, please. Okay, so as some of you have probably noticed, we are pausing our work on measure this week. Miss Ellum and I have decided that it would be more beneficial to restart our work with measure once we are back in school next week. So we're going to take our learning this week as a sort of revision before we are back into school and cover some of the concepts that we have been talking about and learning about since September, just to remind ourselves of those key skills that we've been learning, and also to develop our reasoning skills. So reasoning skills are something that we have talked about in year 2 already, but something that we've not managed to spend much time on yet. It normally comes later on, and obviously with all of the lockdowns, it has been tricky to keep on track with these kinds of things. So Miss Ellum and I have decided now is a good time for us to really delve into our reasoning skills and do our best to practice them, so that as we move forward, once we do return to school, it's something that we'll be doing at the end of each concept, and sort of as our plenaries and things like that. We often have chili challenges in school that we are printed off for the children, so you guys will be doing that as well once we are back. So it's really important that we know what we're doing. So this week we are pausing our work on measure and revisiting some of our previous learning. So these will serve as revision for you before we return back to school next week. So some of the concepts should be really familiar to you, and of course it's something that you should all be really good at, because it's things that most of us have learned before. We're just practicing looking at them in a slightly different way this time. Okay, let's recap then. So today, we will use our reasoning skills to solve problems around place value. So this was the very first concept we learned about right back in September. So you really have to rack your brains to think back to things. It seems like such a long time ago now. So I've got 2 questions for you. What is place value? And what resources do we use when we are using place value in school? Of course, you probably don't have these resources at home, all of you, but when we were in school, what resources did we always use when we were working on place value? So pause the video and see if you can answer these 2 questions for me now, please. Okay, so of course, place value, we talk a lot about tens and ones. We touched briefly on hundreds, but we don't really cover that in much detail in year 2. We just stick to our tens and ones, don't we? Or so far we have anyway. And of course, some of the resources that we use are the Nubicon, and the main one that we talked about and that we used so much back in September were the Dean's blocks. So we had tens and ones, and we would sort of manipulate them, wouldn't we, to try and work out different problems. And so we count the tens and we segment our numbers, and we did all of that. It seems like such a long time ago now. So I would like you to talk to your talk partner and see if you can remember that learning to figure out what these Dean's blocks are representing. So you don't need to write anything down, you can just chat to the person next to you, whether you're at home or at school. If you're working on your own today, you can just have a little think, and we will talk about them in a minute. Okay, pause the video, off you go. Well done. So this first one here, we've got 2 tens and 3 ones. So we know that 2 tens is the same as 2 multiplied by 10, which is 20. And 3 ones is the same as 3 multiplied by 1, which is 3. So we need to add our tens and our ones, don't we? So 20 add 3 equals 23. So these new Dean's blocks, are representing the number 23. And the bottom one, this time we've got 3 tens. So 3 times 10 is 30. And 1, so 1 times 1 is 1, and 30 to add 1 is 31. So this one is representing the number 31. So now I'd like you to have a little think. You could draw these into your book or on your whiteboard if you have one. How would you represent these numbers with Dean's blocks? So we've got 54 and 66. So pause the video and have a go at that now, please. Well done. So 54, you should have 5 tens and 4 ones. So 5 green tens and 4 yellow ones. They don't have to be green and yellow into your book, just for your understanding, of course. And 66, we should have 6 tens and 6 ones. That was a bit of a trick question, that one, wasn't it? Okay, so from the reasoning that we have talked about, I'd like you to think back to that and see if you can answer these 3 questions. So what are reasoning skills? When do we use reasoning skills, and why do we use our reasoning skills? So pause the video and have a little discussion. See if you can answer those 3 questions now, please. Okay, so we use our reasoning skills to prove or disprove an answer. So by asking why or to explain your answer, it allows us to develop and deepen our understanding of a concept, because it just makes us think about things in a different way. So we always use our reasoning skills when we are solving problems, so which is quite a lot in maths, isn't it? Okay, let's have a look at our first one. So Scar thinks that 10 is smaller than 1 because it has a 0 in it. Do you agree with Scar? Explain your answer. So first of all, talk to your talk partner. Do you agree with Scar? Yes or no? Do you agree that 10 is smaller than 1 because it has a 0 in it? Pause the video, what do you think? Okay, and secondly, talk to your talk partner. Why do you agree or disagree with Scar? So normally you would start this question with start this answer with because, and then you go on to explain. So do you agree with Scar? Yes or no? And then why? Pause the video, off you go. Okay, so here we've got an answer that says Scar is wrong because 10 is 1 10 and 0 1s, but 1 has 0 10s and 1 1, so 10 is larger. Do you agree with that answer? Hopefully you said yes. The second answer here, we've got Scar is wrong because 10 has more holes in a Numicon piece and 1 only has 1 hole, so 10 is larger. Do you agree with that answer? Well, yeah, it's true, isn't it? 10 has got more holes in this Numicon piece. It's got 10 holes, and obviously in the 1 piece, it's only got 1 hole. So yeah, that represents a number that is larger. And finally, Scar is wrong because 10 has 10 1s, but 1 has 1 1, so 10 is larger. Do you agree with that one? Hopefully you said yes to that one as well. So, all of these answers have used the words because and so, and that has helped them to really explain the answer to the question that we're working on. So they've said whether they agree or disagree, and all of these answers say that they think Scar is wrong, so they disagree. And then they've gone on to use because, that conjunction, to really just add detail to their answer. So, sorry, I forgot to press the button. There are often more than one ways that we can prove an answer. So your reasoning might sometimes be different to the person next to you. So when I asked you to discuss the question before I looked at any of the answers, you and your partner might have come up with one of those 3 answers, and you might have described it in a slightly different way. Often in maths, when we're doing number sentences, the answer is it's either this or it's not. It's quite like 5 add 5 is 10, isn't it? There's no room for discussion there, that's a fact. But when we're using our reasoning skills, we have to do our best to prove the answer. So that sometimes means that it might be slightly different to our partners. So, as I said before, we can use conjunctions because and so to help us prove our answers. So, Scar was wrong because, and then you do your explanation, so 10 is larger. Okay, let's have another look at another one then. So, Rafiki has 2-digit cards. Let me say that again. Rafiki has 2-digit cards. So, they're not 2 digits, it's 1 digit on each card. That sounds slightly confusing the way I said it the first time. So one card has the number 8 on it, and one card has the number 4 on it. He says that the largest number you can make is 84, and the smallest number you can make is 48. Explain why Rafiki is correct. So, have a go at discussing this problem with your partner, and I'd like you to think about how you might write this answer if you were writing it into your book. You don't need to write anything in your book, but just have a think about how you would describe it. Because sometimes we use lots and lots of words when we're describing, when we're talking, and then how would you narrow that down into one sentence that you might write? Pause the video and have a go at that now, please. Okay, so let's have a look at this answer. Mufasa says, yes, Rafiki is correct. Do you think that's a good answer? I don't think that's a very good answer. I'd like you to talk to your talk partner and see if you can improve Mufasa's answer to the question with Rafiki. Pause the video and see if you can improve it now. Okay, so hopefully you said something like, Rafiki is correct because 8 tens is 80, which is larger than 4 tens, which is 40. So 84 is the larger number. So in this one, because we are talking about place value today, with the cards 8 and 4, if you put the 8 in the tens column, that means it's got 8 tens, so it's 80, which would be larger than 4 tens, which is 40. So well done if you said something along those lines. Of course, as I said before, it might be slightly different to my answer. We might have explained it in a slightly different way. As long as it makes sense to you, don't worry. Okay, so your task, when I say it makes sense to you, I mean you and your partner. Make sure that when you're discussing it, it makes sense to both of you. That way it's more than likely correct. Okay, so your task today is to discuss the answers to some place value problems using your reasoning skills. So the problems are underneath this video on the website as a PDF. You don't need to print anything out today, and you don't actually need to write any answers today. It's more of a verbal, practical lesson, and we will develop onto our written reasoning later in the week. So, steps to success. 1. Read through the question carefully. 2. Decide if the answer is the answer correct or incorrect. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Decide if the answer is correct or incorrect. So once you've read through it, are they right or are they wrong? Then I'd like you to explain to your partner how you know. If you're at home and you're working with an adult, you can explain it to them. Or if you're working on your own today, you can just have a think about it. You can even use your mumble voice and say it quietly to yourself. And then use your knowledge to put your answer into one sentence using because and so, those conjunctions we talked about at the beginning. So that condensing it down to that one sentence will help us later in the week when we need to start writing our reasoning. Not waffle on like I do, so you're not writing pages and pages to answer each question. So that is your task for today. You can pause the video and have a go now, or you can stick with me and I'm just going to talk you through your plenary so you know what to do then as well. Okay, so your plenary for this lesson today, I'd like you to see if you can remember, once you've finished your work today, what are the 2 conjunctions that we can use to ensure that our answers are full sentences, and then you can write them into your book. So of course the conjunctions are because and so. So well done if you got that. If you were waiting to see the plenary and then go and do your task, you can do that now. If you've already done your task, amazing, well done. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and you're feeling a little bit more confident now that you are starting to understand our reasoning skills ready for the rest of the week. Okay, have a lovely rest of your day. I will see you later. Take care. Goodbye.